Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome aboard another chat. And this is the chat from the 6th nation. Not the 6th race, so no Stargate SG1 jokes here, but that aside, it is the F84G 21RE, which is the first chat that I unlocked with a battle rating of 7.3 at rank 5. Now, this plane is, in general, nothing completely new, because it features 6 50 cals M3s. They greatly profit in this from the 50 cal buff in this patch, and overall it is just faster. It retains energy better than the American counterpart. Hell, I would say that this stock has a few more advantages than the upgraded one if you take away the argument of the ordnance, the ground pounding potential. But having said that, this is, well, something that I kind of miss in this match. But on the other hand, as we will see back then when it comes to those scenes, because I want to tell you a lot about outthinking the enemy and just baiting them, triggering to do a mistake, then it is, of course, that I'm talking about the endgame scenario that highly differs from the beginning of the match. Talking about the beginning of the match, you kind of saw that I also profit from an air spawn, and then there it is. I accelerate faster than it feels like even the upgraded version from the Americans. And that kind of baffles me. The battle rating is kind of justified, although you end up a bit more than 8.0 matches, and again I have to say 8.0 is not very nice. F2Hs, meteors that go faster, that is kind of a not so friendly environment, I have to say. And guess what? This is an 8.0 match. Here I think I go into the direction of our bases to intercept any bombers, and that kind of is an argument that highly interests me, and that will keep me flying this thing and trying out different tactics. What if I go into a match against Tier 4s and I have the rockets research, take the minimal amount of them, do the zoom climbing, fly defensively over our base? Can I intercept them? The next part is, as you kind of saw me do a few seconds ago, this plane has little to no instructor interferences. I really like that. Now, it's not a maneuvering jet. You still can pull off certain maneuvers quite nicely. It also pulls between 10, 11, up to 12 Gs sometimes, and that is stock. So we will see at the end of the day how far this reaches us in terms of upgrade wave. So there are sadly no bombers, maybe some Canberras that flew in quite lower. I'm not quite sure what I expected here, because this is kind of an unknown scenario to me, flying from this side with an F84 Thunderjet, and yeah, I kind of expected a few American bombers here, but wasn't to be. So I kind of fly on, and you know, altitude, to have altitude is never a bad thing, I guess. And so I just observe. And I guess at this moment I'm kind of parallel or even behind the enemy team. Now a lot of the enemy jets are here even on the deck. I see 5 on the ground. This F84 here is kind of, well, at this moment my spider senses tingle a little bit, are tingling a little bit, and I look around, I hear something, then I see it on the radar, I pull -G, and it's an F2H. Oh great. Oh, and he's already shooting me, but I kind of do the evasive maneuvers, and I hit the F84, the American one, but sadly not enough. I think I popped his engine there, which is a great thing, but I actually can outrun the F2H. Seems like he was catching me when I was in a high energy state, when I was fast, and he was just zoom climbing. He might have spotted my contrails in the clouds, or he spotted my black dot. Both things are bad. So I roll around and the shots come in. They would have killed me, or at least damaged me quite hard. I tried to do some evasive maneuvers here to both let my pilot not get unconscious and also avoid the maneuvers of the F2H. And you can see a little bit of wobbling is still there, but that is the stock part about this plane. And you know, I'm also testing a lot of theories of mine here, a lot of theories that I shouted out greatly into the void that is YouTube, you know, where barely anybody is listening. Jokes aside, the reason or the thing that I'm talking about is that, you know, I refused to fly jets early on, and it was very, very frustrating for me. And two things, or a lot of things, were really, really bad about it. First of all, I had no success. Second of all, I was constantly beaten hard, like this, by props. Now that was a nice kill. It was a little bit lucky, and also that I didn't receive any hits in return. And now I'm actually making kind of a mistake in terms of dogfighting. I see that the Meteor would have had the chance to shoot me if I would have stretched out for a head-on. And yeah, therefore I did not have the negative elevator authority to put in shots into the enemy F84. But what I was talking about, there were so many arguments for me to kind of not play jets, and some of them are still there. Now, when I then began to make videos about jets, especially the early ones, including the American F84, I said, you have to do this and you have to do that. And it's not so good in a stock jet, but in an upgrade jet, just do the zoom climb. The problem is that we now have kind of a power creep with this plane, with the G variant, but we also kind of are going back to a stock run, or at least I am. And that baffled me. The overall performance of this jet, the overall experience that I had, really? Did you just... Well, he gave the kill to the Me-262. Oh well. Just a dead F2H is a good F2H. Remember that, kids? Don't fly that thing at home. Jokes aside, you know, then I kind of got more and more into the experience myself, you know, not just watching YouTube videos and just enjoying somebody else getting a good match and giving me advice, but I also tried it out myself, and after many fails, after many very frustrating games, I actually, well, thought that I could go in. But then I looked at the upgrade status of my planes, looked how many Golden Eagles I invested out of my own pocket, and I realized, you know, for a beginner, that is not a nice experience. And every nation that you begin with has its own drawbacks. Well, I guess the British with the Meteor Mark III, they kind of still, it flies very similar to a prop in terms of top speed, acceleration, and climbing potential. You have then 20 millimeters, and then, you know, there are the R2Y2s for the Japanese, of course. But then there are other planes that really are not very good when you get when you first get your hands on that. The Kika with the single 30 millimeter with just 50 rounds. The Yak 15s, the Yak 17s, before the Yak 30 was introduced, was kind of a really not that often played line for the Russians. Then the kind of buffs and nerfs to all the different weapon systems, it was just an up and down, up and down. Yes, there were some lovely planes, or there are still some lovely planes, like a Horton and many other German planes, such as the Rocket Me-262, incidentally at 8.0. But they are very special in their own rights, you know. So it is difficult to really find a proper argument for all the jets. But what has this to do with this battle? Well, I went specifically for this jet and not the G91s, because for the simple reason that I wanted to really compare the stock performance. And I have to say, if you want to have an American jet with a really not so difficult stock run, in my personal opinion. Fly this plane. And you know, with the next patch, it all can be over again. Like, the battle rating can be increased, or other battle ratings can be adjusted, which would be kind of a welcome change if Gaijin would come around to kind of take on the chat battle rating and decompress everything. But, you know, that is kind of an annoying part about chats, that the community was asking for this for years, literally. And, well, there was some really hammer-like changes from time to time. Now, about the F84, again, in summary, it profits from an airspawn. It has great zoom climb potential. The best thing that I could do stock was 4 kilometers, because it could exceed 930 kilometers an hour in level flight, terms of accelerating. You can also belly land it. You also have an air brake. You have 50 cals, relatively centralized. I mean, yeah, two 50 cals are in the wing roots, but it still counts as centralized armament. It's kind of Focke-Wulf layout from a D13, the armament in this respect. It's, you know what I mean. Then I do not think that this plane currently is worth going for the weapons. I mean, this is again a chat, you have to research the weapons in the first place, but why not you research the performance upgrades faster? Because, you know, this is, I guess, the best starter chat, it being equipped with 50 cals, that I can currently think of. I mean, the battle rating, you kind of see everything, and if you master this plane, you then know how to judge other chats. You know how to kind of engage them. And I think the overall best way, of course, to learn every single chat in the game is to fly them by yourself. But as an entry chat, this is not just your fastest way currently with the Italians, but it's also the least frustrating one, because you have the performance of the 50 cal. The upgrades are not that expensive, to be honest. The stock flight performance is okay. It's rather surprising when you compare it to the American version. I think there is a definite performance difference. So yeah, that's, I guess, the best reason. And as long as there are no Italian tank or ground forces, you know, you can skip the rocket and bomb layout. I mean, it will be funny one day when ships come in and you see all the rockets on this, and you are the bane of patrol crafts, I guess, when you engage them one by one by flying low, coming over an iceberg or an island and shred them. You know, that's gonna be fun, I guess. Now, I have to say, then we have to talk about the match. This P80 here, well, he kind of engages the Me-262, and him doing those maneuvers, I expected, well, there must be a second guy around, right? Because I looked at the leaderboards and there are not that many players of us left, and you kind of saw in this single turn how maneuverable this P80 is compared to my F84. I don't know the stock F84, especially the G variant, that well to be so confident in picking a consistent turning fight in the horizontal and or the vertical against the P80, so I run. And this is the major trick with the F84. Just run. If you're in trouble and you have a little bit of altitude available, dive and use your speed. And as I said, there is somebody around here, and even a third one, and that's a Meteor. And the Meteor is the neck breaker, because that's a dedicated turn fighter. With the altitude and the speed, again, a little bit of a shady head-on with this P80. He kind of hits me, I hit him as well, and we both don't do the necessary damage to kind of take each other out. So here, I just dive and go away. I try to dive away. I dive directly into the ground and just before it became really dangerous. I pulled up, but somebody is deep on my neck, so I kind of put the plane a little bit sideways and just do the most evasive action with a light adjustment of the elevator. I kind of do a little bit too much elevator avoiding here as it costs me speed, but the P-80 turns away, and he was thinking the same thing that I was thinking about. I want to go back to the airfield. Even the odds. At this moment, I am the last player against a lot of enemy players. Now this airfield is not as prominent as on other maps, and for a moment I thought, oh, am I doing this right here right? You know, to kind of climb, to keep them baited. Is there even AAA that is working? I don't see it on the radar, so at this moment I was not really quite sure what to do. And you know, the meteor is uncomfortably close, and then I see the AAA. I'm flying direct above the AAA positioning, and he kills the meteor instantly. And then the P-80. And at this moment I was kind of greedy. I thought to myself, what if the AAA damages the engine, which you can see happened here with the smoke? Then he will lose performance, he will not make it back to the yeah, he would not have made it back to the airfield anyways, and I could have fought him very comfortably and taken him out. So at this moment I was thinking to myself, and this is again tactical thinking, what to do. So the odds are still against me, the enemy even has a points lead, and I have now the option to land. But I still have 16 minutes of fuel, I have still 1400 rounds of ammunition, and yeah, I'm a little bit damaged, but it's not really affecting my flight performance. Yeah, the engine is yellow, but it's not really damaged. At least that's what I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm searching here, and now listen carefully, because I got my bot saved here by AAA. Indirectly. I fly in a straight line, and I just try to figure out where is the enemy, where are the dots, are there any kill messages, is somebody, you know, lurking around me, is there something that I can observe. I'm flying exactly where the cloud cover begins, and then I see AAA fire behind me, I see the dot, I do evasive actions just in time to kind of avoid his fire. And yeah, that was really great. I'm going immediately back to my airfield, and I'm observing him on the radar. He's flying in a straight line. He's not stupid. And I say, thanks, AAA. So, yeah, again, that was a crucial part. And now, again, he is soon climbing into the clouds, and I kind of lost him here for a moment. And so at this moment, I'm really not sure what to do. How can I take out an F2H? Now, the question is, how long has he been in the air? Does he really think engaging me is the last thing that he has to do to win the game? Has he overextended his fuel capacity? It would be really nice to have this chance, but you can't just guess. You never can be sure. So yeah, at this moment I'm soon climbing again. You see it with 900, and the reason why I'm doing this is not really to get altitude, but to be able to interrupt the zoom climb and still have a little bit of speed under my belt up until the point that I reach the cloud cover. And that is important. I see the dot now, it's right in the middle of the screen, and I turn around. Now, to estimate where a plane is in relation to you is a difficult thing if you have no red box around him, but you always can observe how is he moving compared to your direction. When you then change your direction, how does the movement of this plane change? And yeah, I just saw him in time, and yeah, he's playing the intelligent game, and you can see me here right doing trying to kind of evade him, but I want to get him in a position where he then is hooked, where he thinks he can have me easily. And so I'm kind of stalling out, going a little bit sideways, and he has no shot on me. But I'm really close to stalling out here, and yeah, now the message pops up, new targets for elimination appeared. So now I'm diving, I guess. I'm diving. But I kind of lost a little bit orientation here in the clouds. Clouds is really not a nice thing, and he's behind me. But he's not in a very bad spot behind me for me. So he got in two very nice shots, I have to say, and I was very lucky that I didn't take further damage from that. He pulls up, and I pull up under him. I have enough speed to do so, and I didn't get a hit. But now he's pulling up too sharply, and a good long burst into him, but no damage. What the hell is that? I relied on the damage effect. Not even a fuel leak, no engine damage, no smoke at all, no critical message. This is not good. I just invested too much time and effort into this to receive just a few hits. But hey, this is War Thunder, you have to deal with it. I'm diving in on my airfield and he flies away. At this moment, I am seriously thinking about, well, landing. I'm seriously thinking about landing and repairing, and at this point I'm not quite sure what to do. The last thing that I noticed, what I had in mind, that the last two players were the Meteor and... oh, he bailed out. Well, that was kind of unexpected. Now, what I wanted to say is that the last enemy players were the F2H, an unknown player, much likely an P80, and then also the Meteor. But that was wrong thinking, because the Meteor that I had in mind was actually taken out by AAA. So now I'm saying to myself, well, I'm taking my chances, let's land here. Now, while the F84 can barely land, don't do it, because as the last player alive, you would be registered as being dead. Or rather, combat inefficient. And that would then end the game for you. So what I'm doing here right now, after I rearmed, refueled, repaired, is to go for the vehicles for 3 reasons. I want to confuse the enemy in the way and shape that I take them out. I want to bait the enemy in terms of trying to get out. And yeah, I want to get back into the points lead to put the pressure on the enemy. And earning extra RP and silver lines is also a nice side effect. So I flew for the first base. I'm keeping my speed up, and I'm going for simple strafing runs. The great controllability at high speeds allows me to triple strike the middle spawn point of those vehicles, and off I go for the next one. But there I make a mistake. I go for the first one, I go for the second one, the third one, and I wanted to strike the fourth one, but a Russian Stalinium tree jumps into the air and catches my wing, so I'm forced to go back to base and repair. So here I cut out like 5 minutes for you of just flying back, repairing and engaging the vehicles the second time. And I'm doing this from the same direction. But there is one big difference, and many people don't notice this. I leave one vehicle over from each point to then have the option to decide the game, because at this moment I think the enemy knows what I'm doing and they are looking for me. But to leave one vehicle leaves the dots on the radar there. Yes, you can still distinguish between multiple dots, but many people just don't look for that. And again, I'm keeping the speed up. 930 kilometers an hour is a really nice speed. And this time I'm aware of the Russian bias fueled tree here with Stalinium core. Yeah, he doesn't get me. He didn't jump high enough. Yeah. So At this moment I'm accelerating still 950 kilometers an hour. This plane is really fast, but I had the meteor in mind, so this is why I was doing this. If I had known what I'm really facing, I wouldn't have done this with such a great confidence. So I'm actually going a little bit up while turning, so I'm also transferring speed into altitude, and now I'm transferring it back so I can actually have the speed again, because you lose speed anyway. And I use here the acceleration by the engines and the dive. So by the time I engage the vehicles for the second time, I already have nearly 900 kilometers an hour again. So that's the first point, and now I'm going for the last remaining vehicle on the central point. And I'm observing. On the radar he pops up, I look up, and there he is. And he actually dove too early out of the skies. It's a P-80. Now a P-80 is nearly as fast as the F84 when he, you know, engages you. And he pulls up, so he wants to energy fight me. And at this moment I thought to myself, well, this is a chancy thing to do, because first of all, I don't get guns on target. With a fully upgraded one, probably I would have hit him a few times there. But again, you know, you can't complain overall for this great performance for a stock plane, or a nearly stock plane. And I'm deep into the enemy territory, so I'm again looking for the exit window. What is an exit window in an energy fight? Well, if you both go up and he then pulls up again, you just can't keep diving, and that's what I'm doing here. But not just this, I'm also going here for the last vehicle, and that is important because that then shifts the balance. Quick burst, and now my team, or rather I am now in the lead, and I'm just reversing here. I'm changing the direction of my turning, or my orientation, and I avoid his shooting easily. I turn now up, and I try to get a shot into him, and well, I miss him. What a shame. But again, I'm using the exit window. At the end of the day, he is not as fast as I am. And I don't care about altitude at the moment, I need speed. This is the need for speed in jets, no doubt about that. And this is where I'm just zooming. This is the tactical thinking, I guess. And this is a 1 versus 1 situations where you then have to know everything that there is to know about every jet in the game. Now, you know, to know everything at any time about every plane is outright impossible, but you can have your own experiences, and they tell me that I am actually in the long run literally in an advantage. I can better zoom climb with this version of the F84, and I am also better in top speed. So I turn around to re-engage him, and now he has to turn around under my terms. And so he does after a while, and recognizing that I actually turned around. What he wanted to do was probably hiding in the clouds and, you know, going after me if I would have taken out the last vehicle right there. So I want to get up to kind of energy fight him. At this moment I thought I would have the advantage, but he was able to turn around, but not to get guns on target. And now I want to stall fight him, but then, you know, in stall fighting in a high speed stock jet is, well, it's controversial. So I flip over. This was kind of the attempt of a hammerhead, kind of, and now I actually reversed him. However, he pulled up too early for my taste, and now he still goes into kind of a turn fight. And watch this, I predict where he is going through, and I hit him. I hit him, but it's not decisive. Now we are in the scissoring fight, and he sparks a few of my shells. What the hell? That was really annoying. At that point I was really annoyed. I thought to myself, well, you know, a fire or a quick burst into the engines, and now I'm running. This is my advantage and I'm using it. Yes, it drags out the match, but why should I go into a fight or a fighting style that I lose if I can use this? So I do the very same thing that I did before, and now I can see that he has massively dropped energy status compared to me. So I'm going a little bit for the zoom climb, he turns around, I turn around chasing after him, and we do play the game again. But this time I'm faster and I have the altitude advantage. So this is kind of the playstyle, and disengaging, re-engaging, avoiding the head-ons. Yeah, now I sparked one, you know, that was pure skill and totally not RNG based. And now, this is the point where I have him. Where I think to myself, he can't get guns on me. He wants to avoid, but I get a good solid burst into his wing, and he actually, this was a critical hit. And now, I know what his problem is. He can't turn anymore over the right wing. He has problems in the controllability. He's basically in the status of a German plane. Napalm, please stop bashing on German planes. Well, it is how it is. So I wait up until the point that I have him perfectly in my line of sight, and I saw off his wing. 4th kill, and the carry is done. Now this was not an ace gameplay, but under the circumstances, fighting at 8.0, fighting against the odds, against many players at once, so to speak, yes, undoubtedly with the help of the AAA that shot down 2 planes behind me, and also warned me from the attack of the F-28 Banshee. That was a great help. But you have to understand how to use help if it is given to you, and also how to provide help in other certain circumstances. So a lot of medals, a lot of awards, good result right here. I'm really proud of the match right here. Yeah, I cut out a lot of time, like 10 minutes. It's still like half an hour of gameplay, but I hope that I could provide you with it. 115,000 silver lines, 7,300 modification research points, first place with 7,051 score points. What a nice match. And here you can see the upgrade status of the plane. This is the airframe that I have no doubt about this will further improve the handling and the kind of overall characteristics of the plane quite nicely. So that's it for me. That's the first impressions and carry match in the F84. I hope you liked it. Please give a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know in the comment section if you like this kind of long gameplay or you have it rather short and snappy but less informative. Let me know. At the end of the day, yeah, the gameplay took a while, but I think the result was worth it. Make the most out of the situations that you're in. Fly with your brain switched on. And that's it for me today. And we'll see each other in the skies of War Thunder.